Hello. Our first story today was sent to us by Mark. After reading this experience coming from Ohio, USA, I personally checked every corner of my room twice. In today's story, there is no incorporeal spirit. There is a living horror of flesh and blood. Because believing in ghosts might be difficult, but today you will understand how terrifying a human's twisted mind can be. Get ready, because Mark's experience might take away your night's sleep. My name is Mark. When the incident happened, my life was basically standing on top of a heap of ruins. After the divorce from Jessica, I was completely broken mentally. However, I had to fight for my 5-year-old son, Leo. He was my only reason for living. According to court rules, Leo stayed with me every weekend. I wanted this time to be the most beautiful time in the world for him. To escape the city's hustle and the suffocating environment of my old apartment, I rented an old Victorian house on the outskirts of town. Surrounded by pine trees, that secluded place was as beautiful as a picture during the day. But once the sun set, a strange silence would swallow the entire area. Our closest neighbor was at least half a mile away. A Friday in mid-November. Light snowfall had started outside. I put Leo to sleep in the second-floor bedroom and kissed his forehead. The room was right next to mine, but there was a long, dark corridor in between. As a precaution, I left an old Motorola baby monitor on top of Leo's dresser. I know Leo was big now, but in an unknown environment, a father's heart wouldn't listen. I took the receiver and sat at the dining table downstairs. I was finishing some office work on my laptop. Everything was as quiet as a grave. Only occasionally there was a creak sound from the wooden floor, which is very normal in an old house. It was about 12:45 a.m. A monotonous hiss-hiss sound was coming from the monitor. Suddenly, the rhythm of that sound changed. At first, I thought it was a technical problem. But immediately after, a sound drifted out from behind the static noise. Someone took a very long sigh. My heart skipped a beat. I thought Leo might be making noise in his sleep. But no, the sound wasn't from a child. It was a heavy, raspy breath of a man. A few seconds of silence, then that bone-chilling humming started. Hush, little baby. Don't say a word. My blood felt like it turned to ice in an instant. It wasn't a radio or a recording. It was a man's voice, singing in a complete whisper. It was as if the man had his mouth pressed right against the monitor's microphone, singing to Leo, "Papa's gonna buy you a mockingbird." Without wasting a single moment, I ran upstairs. My heart felt like it had climbed into my throat. I yanked open the door to Leo's room. Leo! The room was dark. As soon as I turned on the light, I saw Leo sitting up in bed, rubbing his eyes. He got scared seeing me, Daddy. What happened? I searched the entire room like a madman. Under the bed, inside the closet, behind the window curtains, no one was there. But suddenly, I saw the window was open by an inch, yet I was certain I had locked it myself in the afternoon. I looked down through the window. Nothing could be seen in the dark. I quickly called the police. The police came and searched the garden and the house thoroughly. There were no footprints on the snow, no signs of entry into the house. The officers explained to me that perhaps since the window lock was old, it had opened due to wind pressure, and the sound on the baby monitor was nothing but interference from some other frequency. The police left. They left basically thinking I was crazy. For the next few weeks, I convinced myself a lot. I thought maybe the stress of the divorce and loneliness were creating these hallucinations in my head. I installed a digital video monitor and increased home security. The days started becoming normal again. I began to believe that the incident that night was just a mistake of my mind, but I was wrong. It was Tuesday. Leo was with his mother. I was sitting in the office during my lunch break, checking my iPhone. Suddenly, a notification came, storage full. I was a bit surprised because there shouldn't have been so many files on my phone. I went to the gallery and scrolled down, and I noticed a folder I had never seen. There were about 20 videos inside the folder, all taken within the last 2 weeks. I played the first video, completely black screen. Suddenly, a rustling sound of cloth was heard, as if someone was taking the phone out of a pocket. Then the camera moved. What I saw in the dim light made the ground slip from beneath my feet. The video was taken in my own bedroom, right from the floor from under the bed. The video shows my own feet hanging off one side of the bed, and I am deep in sleep. The person filming has very steady hands. He zoomed in very close to my face. In the background, that same wet, raspy sound of breathing. The man hadn't stolen my phone. He was unlocking my phone with my own passcode at night to film me while I slept. And after finishing, he put it back on the charger. He knew exactly when I slept. Trembling, I played the next video. This was the video of the night I heard the song on the baby monitor. The video showed someone coming out of my bedroom, going through the corridor, and entering Leo's room. The camera was taken very close to the face of Leo, who was asleep. Then a dirty, thin hand gently ran its fingers through Leo's hair. Right then, the sound of me running up was heard. The camera quickly turned, and the man stepped inside the dark closet. When I turned on the room light and was calling Leo, searching outside the window, the man was recording me through the crack in the closet door. I was standing only a few feet away from him. At the very end of the video, the man turned the front camera toward himself. His whole face couldn't be seen in the dark. Only two glowing, insane eyes and a diabolical smile from a toothless scum. He whispered, "You are a good daddy, Mark." I ran out of the office screaming and went straight to the police station. After seeing the video, the police took notice. After searching my house, they found a secret panel on the wall behind the bedroom closet. Inside it was a small, damp crawl space. Some dirty clothes, food wrappers, and a diary were found there. The diary was full of my and Leo's daily routines. He knew when we ate, when we went out. He had even written my phone's passcode there. The police call it frogging. The man was under the same roof with me for at least a month, using my bathroom, eating food from my fridge, yet I never even sensed him. He wasn't caught. He had fled before the police arrived. I live in another city now. I've changed houses. But even today, when night comes, I can't sleep in a bed. I sleep by spreading a mattress on the floor, because whenever I look at the bed, I feel like those two eyes from within that darkness are still watching me today. This story from Mark reminds us that true terror is often right in front of our eyes. We just can't see it. The thought of a person spending day after day in the same house with Mark, yet no one seeing him, that thought alone is enough to chill the body. Before going to sleep tonight, will you check your closet or under your bed once? Are you certain that you are alone in the room at this moment? Today's second story was sent by Andrew Miller. Some stories don't leave us even after they end. Let's begin. I've always identified myself as a rational person. I didn't have the slightest interest in ghosts or anything supernatural. To me, fear was nothing more than a chemical reaction in the brain. But on a bone-chilling winter night in Minnesota in January 2022, that belief was completely shattered. I had just started working as a night custodian at the county archive building. The job was very simple: guarding and keeping clean that massive building where all the city's old documents, court records, and land deeds are kept. My shift was from 10 p.m. to 6 w.m. There wouldn't be another soul in the entire building except me. I liked the seclusion, so I actually enjoyed the work. The rules of this building are very strict, especially regarding the main entrance or the main door. A key card is needed to enter the building, and the biggest responsibility of the night shift is ensuring the door is properly locked upon leaving. The first few nights passed very normally. A massive building, dead silence except for the occasional sound of the heating system and the whistling of the wind. But the trouble started on the 8th night. That morning, as I was leaving after finishing my shift, my supervisor Carl called for me. A paper was in his hand, the night security log. He asked me, "Andrew, why didn't you lock the main door last night?" I said in surprise, "Impossible. I checked it twice myself. The door was locked." Carl gestured toward the paper and said, "The log says otherwise. At 2014 a.m., the system shows main door unsecured." I didn't argue that day. I thought maybe it was some mechanical error in the system. But the same thing happened the next morning as well. Carl got quite annoyed. He said, "Andrew, this is the second time. The log says the door was opened again at 2000 a.m. This time I wasn't scared. Rather, I became stubborn. I know I locked it. That night, I decided I would keep proof of this mechanical error. At 2 a.m., I went to the main gate. I locked the door. I pulled it with my hand to be sure. Then I took out my phone and took a picture of the door. A timestamp appeared on the photo 2005 a.m. I wrote in my notebook, 2005 a.m., door locked and photo taken. I returned to the desk with a strange peace in my mind. Sitting in front of the monitor, I was shuffling through some old archive files. Suddenly, a small pop-up notification appeared in the corner of the monitor. ACCS log UAVed. I opened the log with curiosity. What I saw sent a cold shiver down my spine. The log read, 02:15 a.m., Andrew Miller entry verified. I looked at the clock. It was now 2016. I had been sitting in this chair for the last 10 minutes. I hadn't gone anywhere. I hadn't even left. Then how was the log saying I entered the building just a minute ago? I first thought someone might be using a cloned keycard of mine. I immediately started checking the CCTV cameras, camera 3, which is pointed directly at the main door. I rewound the footage. From 2:10 to 2:00 on the screen, I saw the dark corridor. The door was closed. No one was entering. No one was leaving. But exactly at 2:15 a.m., it was seen on screen that the door's lock moved on its own, as if an invisible someone turned the key. And right then, on the monitor's timestamp, it appeared entry verified. As I was looking at the screen, I felt like there was an inconsistency in the footage of camera 3. A faint shadow was seen in the reflection of the door's glass. Very blurry, but the figure was familiar. The height was like mine. The build of the shoulders was like mine. Even the uniform was just like mine. I immediately stood up from the chair. Was I seeing hallucinations, or was my brain playing games with me due to the pressure of extra work? I tried to calm myself. I said out loud, "Andrew, it's just a glitch. There's nothing to be afraid of." But the building seemed to hear my words. At that very moment, the corridor lights flickered off and back on, and my desk printer suddenly started up. With a whirring sound, a paper printed and came out. I walked slowly toward the printer. I took the paper in my hand. It was an automated shift report. There, written in large letters, Secondary Presence D210, shift balance record. Secondary presence, meaning a second person. I ran back to the monitor again. This time I opened camera 1, which shows the long corridor right behind my desk. On the monitor I can see myself. I am standing at the desk, but exactly 10 feet behind me, in the darkness of the corridor, someone else is standing. I whipped around to look back. No one. Empty corridor. I looked at the monitor again. On the screen it was still standing there, looking at me. Its face was covered in darkness, but I could tell it was looking right at me. The most terrifying thing was that the shadow on the screen wasn't mimicking my movements. It was still, as if it wasn't a reflection of mine, it was someone independent. I realized the building wasn't scaring me. It was trying to replace me. I didn't wait another moment. I took my jacket and car keys. I decided to flee. I know it's against the rules, but at that moment, I felt that if I stayed here for one more minute, I would never be able to get out. I started walking quickly toward the main door, but the more I moved toward the door, it felt like the corridor was getting even longer. The sound of footsteps echoed back, but the sounds didn't match the soles of my feet. As if someone was walking right behind me, I ran. Arriving in front of the main gate, I yanked the door open. The bone-chilling cold outside air hit my face. I ran and got into the car without looking back, started it, and went straight to the highway. I didn't go home that night. I went straight to a motel 100 miles away. My hands were still shaking then. I convinced myself I was going crazy. This is not possible. For the next 3 days, I didn't go to work. I didn't pick up the phone either. I thought they would fire me. That would be natural. But on the 4th day, I received a notification in my bank account. Payment deposited. The payment for the full week, including overtime. I was surprised. I didn't finish the shift. I fled. Then why did they give me the full amount? Unable to contain my curiosity, I called the archive's HR department during office hours. I said, "I'm Andrew Miller speaking. I was sick for the last 3 days. I couldn't come. Did my payment come by mistake?" From the other side, the receptionist girl said, "Why would it be a mistake, Mr. Miller? The system shows you did full shift duty for the last 3 nights. Even your logout time is absolutely perfect. 6:02 a.m. My throat went dry. I said, "But I didn't come." The girl laughed lightly and said, "You might be joking. Our security log and CCTV say that. You are still on duty, right? The system shows you are in the file room right now." I hung up the phone. The phone fell from my hand to the floor. I am now in my own house sitting far away from the city, but I know, in that building, in the darkness of that file room, someone is doing my work. Using my name. Using my face. I did flee that night, that's true. But I feel like I didn't actually come back entirely. A part of me, perhaps the real part, is still trapped in the darkness of that archive building, and he is waiting for when I will return to finish my shift. Today's story ends here. Andrew never went back to that city again. He now works in another state, but he said, occasionally when he wakes up deep in the night, he can still hear the sound of that printer in his ears. Has such an incident happened to you too, for which there is no explanation? If so, send it to us. And remember, shadows aren't always created just by the absence of light. Sometimes, a shadow demands its own existence. Today's third story was sent by Andrew Miller, who has been driving trucks on America's highways for the past 10 years. He wrote that people say being alone is scary. But his experience says fear is greater when you know you are alone, yet you feel like someone else is in the vehicle with you. Let's enter into Andrew's bone-chilling experience. I am a long-haul trucker by profession. I have been in this profession for 10 straight years. The night highways, deserted roads, and the constant hum of the engine, these are nothing new to me. I always told myself that I am not afraid of the dark. I just get tired. But that night in August 2023 changed this belief of mine forever. The incident happened on Nevada's US Route 50 or Highway 50. Those who know this road know why it is called the loneliest road in America. Miles after miles of just desert, mountains, and emptiness. I had been driving for about 12 hours then. The delivery time was very tight, so there was no chance to sleep. But the body doesn't listen to logic. My eyes were getting heavy and my hands weren't working properly on the steering wheel. I could understand that driving in this condition was dangerous. Right then, an old signboard caught my eye in the light of the headlights. Rest area, 1 mile ahead. Usually, I don't stop anywhere except at large and well-lit truck stops. But this rest area was very small, practically abandoned. No shops, no gas station, just one broken lamppost and vast darkness. I parked the truck. I have a habit. I never turn off the engine in deserted places. The AC is running, the engine is in idle mode. I leaned back in the seat and closed my eyes, thinking I would take a 15-minute power nap. Exactly 1 minute after closing my eyes, I heard the sound. Thump, thump. The sound was coming from exactly behind the truck, from the direction of the trailer. I opened my eyes. At first, I thought it was a mistake of the mind. In the desert heat, often when the truck's metal expands, such sounds occur. I tried to close my eyes again. Thump, thump, thump. This time the sound was even clearer. And it wasn't the sound of metal. Someone was intentionally knocking on my truck. I sat up straight. I looked in the side mirrors. Nothing. Everything was pitch black. In this part of Nevada, there is no human settlement for miles. So who would come here? I took the flashlight in my hand and got down from the truck. The cold desert wind hit my face. I walked around the truck and checked. Tires, locks, everything was fine. No one was there. There weren't even any footprints on the sand. I convinced myself that maybe it was some small animal. I got back into the cabin and locked the door. After sitting in the seat, a strange unease started to settle in. It felt like someone was watching me. Out of habit, I looked at the dash cam monitor on the dashboard. My truck is fitted with 360-degree cameras. On the monitor, the rear camera, side cameras, everything is visible. Everything was clear. But when I checked a feed from the front bumper camera, my blood ran cold. Exactly under the truck, near the front wheel, someone was lying down. The whole body wasn't visible, just his face. The man was staring at the camera lens. He wasn't blinking. There was no anger on his face, no pain, a strange calmness, as if he knew I was watching him. I was certain that when I got down, no one was there. My throat went bone dry. I somehow honked the horn. The man didn't move. I shifted into gear and started to reverse the truck a little. As soon as the truck moved, the man disappeared from the screen, as if he knew what I would do. I didn't wait any longer. I pressed the accelerator and got straight onto the highway. I increased the speed. 70, 80. I just wanted to escape from that place. I convinced myself, Andrew, you are very tired. This was a hallucination. When the brain is tired, it shows many things that do not exist in reality. But that consolation didn't last long. After driving for about 10 minutes, I heard the sound. A deep sigh. The sound didn't come from outside. The sound came from exactly behind me, from the sleeping berth or the sleeping area. All the hair on my body stood up. I'm alone in this truck cabin. The curtain of the back berth remains drawn. I held the steering wheel tight. I didn't have the courage to look. I told myself again, it's the sound of the wind, the sound of the AC vent. But then I heard it again, this time even closer, near my neck. The sound of a heavy, wet breath. With trembling hands, I reached toward the dashboard to check the interior camera or the inside CCTV. My hands were shaking. I turned on the sleeping berth camera on the monitor. On the screen in the dim light, my bed is visible. No one is there. Empty bed. My jacket is hanging on the hook. I was about to take a sigh of relief right then. I saw movement on the screen. The bedding of the bed or the mattress was slowly sinking down, as if someone was sitting there, but no one could be seen. Only the mattress was sinking under human weight. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out of my throat. It felt to me like the air in the truck cabin had become heavy. A rotten, musty smell hit my nose. Exactly like the smell when a room stays closed for a long time. I turned on the radio to call dispatch or the control room. But the signal was very weak. After many attempts, the line connected. I whispered, "Control, someone has entered my truck. I am on Route 50 now." The operator's voice was heard from the other side, very mechanical. "Driver, I am checking your location. Did you turn off the engine?" I said. "No. I just parked at the rest area." But the engine was running. The operator remained silent for a few seconds. Then he said in a very low voice, "Where are you now?" I said. "I am passing mile marker 193. The operator said, "Listen carefully. Do not stop under any circumstances. And do not look back. There is a way station 25 miles ahead. Police stay there. Do not stop the vehicle at all." The line got disconnected. I kept driving, but it felt to me like time had frozen. The back curtain was moving a little bit. The AC was running, but I was sweating. It felt like someone was standing exactly behind me. His breath was hitting my neck. I felt like someone was whispering in my ear, "Stop." I know. At that moment, if I had pressed the brakes or looked back, then I wouldn't be alive today to tell the story. My hands were becoming numb, but I didn't let go of the steering wheel. Finally, I saw lights in the distance. Way station. The blue-red lights of police cars. I have never been so happy to see the police in my life. I drove the truck straight into the station's parking lot. I slammed the brakes, but I didn't turn off the engine. I opened the door and jumped down. 2 officers came running. Seeing my condition, they understood something was wrong. Gasping, I said, "Someone is inside my truck." They drew their guns. One officer climbed up from the driving seat side, the other from the back door. I stood far away. My eyes were on the truck. After about 2 minutes, they came out. The officer came to me and said, "The truck is empty. No one is inside." I couldn't believe it. I said, "This cannot happen." I saw it with my own eyes. The mattress was sinking. I heard the sound of breathing. "You look carefully." The officer told me to calm down. He said, "Look, maybe you are tired. This happens when you drive for a long time. No one is inside, and there is no evidence either." I became somewhat confused. Then was it all a mistake of my mind? Am I going crazy? I went back to the truck. The officers were leaving. Before getting into the driving seat, I wanted to check the dash cam monitor one last time. I wanted proof. I rewound the footage of the interior camera. The footage from 10 minutes ago. When I had seen the mattress sinking, the video played. I saw that I was driving. My face was pale with fear. I was repeatedly looking in the mirror. Then I looked at the camera monitor. But the back bed is not visible in the footage, because in the footage, it is seen that exactly behind me, exactly behind the driving seat, something like a black figure is standing. It is so tall that its head has created an obstruction in front of the camera lens. It wasn't on the bed. It was standing exactly behind my seat the whole time. And when I was trying to see the bed on the monitor, I was actually seeing parts of its body. The most terrifying thing is, in the last part of the video, when I am entering the way station, the thing slowly vanished like vapor. But just before vanishing, a sound was recorded on the camera. Very clear, not mechanical, a sound exactly like a human voice. It said, "We will meet again." I quit the job that very night. I don't know what that was. I don't even want to know. I just know this much. There are some things that are beyond our logic. And in some dark places of the highway, turning off the engine means inviting them. I don't drive at night anymore, and I never will again. This was the incident sent by Andrew. We might never know what actually got into his truck that night. However, remember one thing. While traveling on the highway, if you ever feel that you are not alone, or your skin crawls for no reason, then trust your sixth sense, because our brain often senses such dangers that our eyes cannot see. Don't stop the vehicle. Just keep driving. I am taking my leave for today. Stay safe, and of course, keep the door locked. Good night.